heart, I expect that they would come prepared, but my top head would say that they won't come prepared and they'll never let me down for that. And when some people come, I remember there are some lessons which I learned from students also, right? Participants too. There was this lady, I still very distinctly remember, Daman Singh. Do you know Daman Singh?
Yes, yes.
Dr. Manmohan
Dr.
Singh's
Manmohan
daughter.
Singh. Yeah.
And she was in my class, and I think she was in the first or second batch I taught. And I was handling a class.
Fifth batch, Bala.
Yeah,
Fifth batch.
then it must be the second one I taught. Uh, I was handling a class on manpower planning, and I had done so much of whatever I knew in mathematics and statistics, blah blah blah. I had used all that, and I expected participants to have done all that work on manpower planning for the case. And after the class was over, as we were having tea, someone came and told me, and the participants used to call us by our name in our front, and even now, I think you all call by us by names behind our back. So she said, Balaji, why did you have to complicate this case so much? Did you want to show your scholarship, or did you want us to solve the case? There is no need for all this mathematics at all. This is how I solved it. Yeah, that's a stumper, and that too in the second year of teaching. That coming from a participant was huge. Very very early days.
One is the student's preparation, but from your own side, from your side as a teacher, was there anything that would make you happy if you did something or you did not do something in the case?
See, I know the kind of courses which I was teaching at that time, uh, personnel management and managerial analysis and communications. There were two courses which people used to sort of hate, right? Max they used to hate because of the extraordinary rigor we brought into the course, and personnel management because they had no idea as to why we have to learn all these things because almost 80-90% of them had no work experience, right? So we used to hate the course. But I know when I reflect back after the first even 2 or 3 years after I joined IRMA, when participants who had passed from IRMA or on job, they come and tell me, Balaji, the kind of courses you taught, people management and maths, amongst others, other few things, they are the ones which are really, really helping us a lot. Now, that is something which is very, very fulfilling for me as a faculty member when people come and tell me that what the courses which I taught are the ones which are of immense use to them in their daily life, irrespective of what role they are in, irrespective of what function they are in. When they say that, that makes me really fulfilled. The second thing which makes me fulfilled now is when I look at many people whom I taught, uh, they are in such positions. Many of them are chief executives. They have their own enterprises and so on and so forth. And oh, no, your moderator is one of them, right? So, guy like Nilesh Shah, he's not in the so-called sector. For the first time he came on the television, I called Girja and say, hey, listen, my student. And that guy comes on some business channel and speaks for some 20, 30 seconds on buy this stock, don't buy that stock, and lakhs of people are impacted by that. Rightly, wrongly is a different matter. Right. And now GVL Narasimha Rao is a BJP spokesman, irrespective of our political affiliations. Now, we want to see people in those kinds of levels, very, very, very high positions and positions of influence in their respective organizations. And seeing them is so fulfilling for me.
And what is a memory that you hold dear from your role as a teacher in IRMA? Any particular incident, story that comes to your mind?
Oh, I have a long list of some 23, 24 of those because I knew this question was coming. I don't know which one to start. Let me start with the recent one, no? Latest one.
We will let you decide.
Uh, I was in at the IRMA for doing a management development program, and in the morning after breakfast, I was in front of the Executive Training and Development Center. And there was this person who was sweeping the road. I don't know what happened to him. He turned back and came near me and said, "Isn't your name Balaji? आप बालाजी है ना? आप इधर faculty थे ना?" I was completely shocked. I'm talking about 2018, 19, and I left IRMA in 1997. After so many years, this man remembers me. Okay, now that is a trio for me to look at. So many people, as Kirja was saying, so loving, right? That is one. The latest incident I remember. The very first incident I remember is coming to IRMA for my selection process, where much against the advices of people like Raja, and I had to handle a class, 70 minutes class, and for the third batch participants, that is EP Ganesh, etc. That group, and Raja and others advised me, please do not. I said I want to handle a case. They said, please don't do that. Come and just give a lecture and go. And just because Raja and others said don't use a case, I said I'm going to use a case. So I actually handled a 70-minute class on case method. Did a case for it, and the class went off really well. There was another fantastic memory which I have, and so many roles which I played. There are many memories, including sad ones. One of the saddest moments for me at IRMA was when Professor Madan Pant passed away. He was not only my neighbor, but he and I, along with Vishwalabh, we formed a one-year program committee, the first committee which we had for the one-year program. And the three of us traveled across the country for many days to select people, right? And he and I had become very close. And his passing away was a very sad moment. And there were very cheerful moments when a guy like Libby or Anand dress up as Santa Claus and come to the faculty quarters, the staff quarters side, and all the children climb on them and all that. Those are also joyous moments. And those surprise moments when the participants call us to the hostel for a dinner. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Professor Balaji. So Ashutosh Chadha from PRM6. Ashutosh started his career with NDDB and then moved on to the technology space. Currently, he is the Vice President, MasterCard South Asia, looking after government affairs and public policy. Ashutosh, over to you.
Thanks, Priya. So, Prof, great to see you in person after so many years. I think this is the first time we're seeing ourselves face to face. Of course, we bump into each other in Facebook pretty often.
Thank you,
yeah, yeah. And I'll sort of, I think I was one of the students who definitely never prepared to class when I came to your class, especially Mac, right? And I had an association for Mac, from what I understand what Mac was. And I mean, I can say that now without any fear of any grades, that in my mind, Mac was all about Pressy writing, right? Which I related to school. Pressy writing, right?
Okay.
Right, which is very interesting. But anyway, forget about that. There was one instance, and I wanted to jog your memory on that if you recollect that. Do you have an association of the movie Sagar with our batch and the impact it had on our batch? It left a pretty indelible mark in many ways on our batch, and in some cases, in a lot of students, an inedible mark also. And it's related to your assignments.
Sorry, what I don't know that movie.
All right. So let
I'm
me
not a
let
movie.
me
Hmm.
no.
Just
So
share my
I'll
thought
give
on
you
that.
I'll give you the yeah. So no, it was not about the movie. It was actually there was an assignment due, and I think it was on due on a Saturday. And Friday was the day when Sagar got released in Anand, and the whole entire batch actually had gone and
Want to watch that?
gone to watch that. And when everybody came back, they realized that they had your assignment to submit the next day in the morning. And quite a few of the batch students actually, typically at that time, I think so in Mac, and I don't know why, you used to distribute the assignments to be graded by various professors, right? So people took the chance of using other people's assignments to create their assignments also. But I think in that particular instance, you took a decision that Saturday to grade all the assignments on your own, and you figured out that a lot of those
27.
assignments. This was
27 is
85,
the number.
87 batch. That's right.
27 is the number. I remember that.
Yes, I think it was that one. Yeah, so that was the association, and it actually did leave a pretty interesting, what I would say, mark on the entire batch, because the batch was pulled up pretty hard
Yeah,
on that entire thing. You want to give
oh,
your part of the
yeah,
story on?
yeah. That's one of those right on top of my 23 list. Okay. Now, uh, I mean, this for many of you who may be recent in IRMA. Those days when we had this course called managerial analysis and communication, um, there are 60 participants. Now, I'm sure the number is far higher than that. I don't know what the number is in TRM. So we are talking about 60 participants, no Raja, two batches, two sections. Yeah, something like that. 60 participants, five assignments to be done in a 15 session course, half a credit course, right? And for each assignment, we used to spend at least an hour going through it, giving written feedback and giving oral feedback per participant. So 60 assignments, 60 participants, five assignments, an hour at least. So that is 300 faculty hours to be spent on a half a credit course. And that's too much to handle by one person. While I anchored the course, and the sense that I went and handled the classes, most of the classes, we had 4 or 5 faculty members to whom the participants were distributed. So, for instance, Raja would have 10 participants, Tushar would have 10 participants, maybe Srini had another 10 participants like that. So each group submitted their assignment to that respective faculty members, right? And we didn't check between ourselves. The last assignment, I remember that, uh, Srini said he has a course coming up next term, so he can't evaluate that assignment. And one more faculty member said he can't. Then I said, okay, if I were to conduct an end-term examination, I would evaluate all the sessions, all the papers. So I said, okay. So I sat in my room and the participants came and gave the assignments, and some of them had shouted below the door and all that because they had crossed the time. And I was just browsing through the assignments from the top. I read one, I browsed through one assignment, not read, just browsed through the headings and whatnot. And second assignment, third assignment, fourth assignment, it sounded like I had read it before somewhere, right? And obviously, it would have been one of those three or four. And I checked. It was a verbatim copy. Then I realized, okay, these two people are they are being evaluated by two different faculty members. And then my antennas went up, and I did a very thorough job. And I knew there are these 11 participants whose assignments were the original, and these 16 participants were the ones they had copied. And the copying also varied in so many ways. Students really taught me that how all to copy. Some of them had copied verbatim, some of them had copied exactly the same but in their own words. Some of them copied exhibits with the exhibit number something in the exhibit, but then it was not even referred to in the text. Okay. Short of photocopying, they had done everything. But later on, I came to know that people photocopied also submitted their assignment. Now, 27 participants. And I called for a meeting of all the faculty members who are involved in this course in my room, and we all decided that all of them will get an F for the course. F for a course in the first term meant they can't get even a D in any other course. And Professor Shenoy came running to my office. He said, "What is this? 27 people F." I said, "This is what happened." He said, "No, no, you should call people who are, people should call all of them and check and who gave and who was the original." I said, "I know who are the original, I know who are the 15. But I'm not going to do this policeman's work. I'm a faculty member here, not a policeman. If you want to do it, you do it. And you do whatever you do. The PRM committee can take a decision, the PRM coordinator can take a decision, but this is the decision of the faculty." So 27 participants ran the risk of getting out of the institute in the very first term. Thanks. Thanks, Ashok, for reminding me that. And the next course, next time I taught that course, I had my transparency. My first transparency was a list of 17 ways of copy. I used to put that up on the overhead projector and say, "These are the 17 ways I know. Please don't do this. Please teach me new ways of copy." Not bad. It was fun.
That
It was a nerve-wracking experience. I may say it in light vein. Very
yeah.
nerve-wracking.
I guess after 30 years, all of us, laughed pretty much about it. You're right. It was a nerve-wracking experience. I mean, you can't imagine what all of us were going through.
You
All
were
of the entire PRM
back,
was
you
going
said, no? That was what, 85, 86,
85,
87?
87, 85,
85 is when
87.
I got married. And I was teaching in that term. Imagine 3 days and 3 nights of my newly married wife going in looking at who copied from whom and marking in each assignment. This paragraph has been say is very identical to this paragraph of this person and so on and so forth. I had to do that for 60 assignments.
Professor Balaji, you as an educator, mentor, and guide have, you have guided and motivated many of us to reach a little beyond what is.
Guided is.
Okay.
Motivated, I don't know.
Okay. So, okay, guided then to, reach our best, a little beyond our best, right? To aim for the incredible. So my question is, what inspires you to do that? What or who?
So I guess my upbringing, definitely. My father was a teacher, he was a lecturer in a college, and I know what all he did for his students to come up in life. And then I had this extraordinarily rigorous 5 years in Loyola College, Chennai, a symbol of excellence, right? Everybody in Loyola College would want to be excellent. So was I. And I did excel in not in my BSc, but definitely in my master's in social work. And then another excellent institution, premier institution called the IIM Ahmedabad. So I think it's all that. For me, I mean, it doesn't take a big deal to be mediocre. And for me, and if you're mediocre, you're normal. And I remember right from my 10th standard, I never wanted to be normal. I didn't like people who are normal. Not that I didn't like, I would want people to excel everything. Everybody to excel at least in one or two things. None of us can be excellent in everything. If they wrote one assignment out of 5 in math, at least in one they should get an A or A minus. In the remaining 4, they can get an F and a D. That's fine. So I think it's all about the way I was brought up. And my mom, she is what, 80? Yeah, she's 80 now. She's completed 80 a few days ago. And even today, when you see her, the way she wears the sari, it smacks of excellence. You say everything must be perfect. So that's the kind of upbringing. My grandfather was a wonderful inspiration for me for what he was an excellence, a symbol of excellence for. Yeah.
So we'll move to the second panelist. So the second panelist is Viji. So Viji started her career with, she's from the 12th batch. She started her career with the Tamil Nadu Cooperative Oilseed Growers Federation Limited in a human resources role. And she's currently a professor who teaches organizational behavior and human resources management at IFMR Kriya University. And she's married to an Irman Bala from PRM9. Over to you, Viji.
So I'm really happy to be part of this group because Professor Balaji brings back a lot of interesting memories. I'm going to keep it really short, but given that I'm teacher as well, so I'm going to talk. I hope to keep it short. So I'm going to talk about three memories as a student. One, everybody speaks about MAC, but for me, PM was personal management that Professor Balaji taught was really important because the day I joined Tankov, I had to give show cause notice, right? Fresh and wet behind the ears, you have no idea what's happening. And there was this cases happening where one had to give show cause notice. Believe me, I thanked for having listened to his class because there were lawyers, legal experts, and trade union leaders sitting right in front of this really young person who didn't know whether I was coming or going. Thank you, Professor. It really helped. And then when I went on to work as a consultant for SAP, all that you taught us in, calculating overtime really came in place. I used to wonder why you used to give us those extremely boring calculations, but it made a lot of sense. But for PM, thank you, one. As a person, he was very interesting. Every time you topped a quiz, he would offer you dosas. So my motivation to do well was that I get invited and had uh, Ma'am Girija preparing fantastic dosa and coffee. So my interest in PM grew thanks to more than
Giriya.
Professor Balaji's teaching skills. Girija's excellent coffee and dosa. And third is as a teacher, today when I get into the class, Professor Balaji, you remind me so much about how beautifully you write in the class. I still vividly remember your board, right? Mac, when you teach Mac, there'll be squares and boxes and everything neatly done. And my board is like terrible mess. I can't figure out what I'm writing. Every time I go in, I kind of think one day I wish I could do that board planning. I remember you would come in and say, oh, I took so many hours preparing for the class. None of you have even read it. You would be so thoroughly prepared, including how to handle the class despite, what you expect from us. But the board planning of yours is something I really loved it. So for all that, thank you. Now, can I ask you, what did I tell you? And second, I have another question after you say that. Okay, Professor Balaji, thanks for all you did. And
Thank you. Thanks a lot for that. Uh, I mean, my vivid memory is of that lady participant on the third row to my right. I don't know, and it was rather a small looking lady. Uh, so I was telling these people, Priya, maybe Viji, if I remember correct. The incident is this: I was somewhere, I don't know where I got into this discussion in your class. And if it is not you, you must pardon me for that. Okay, doesn't matter. You are somebody in your place. I was handling this class, and suddenly we got into a discussion about what is your life goal and all that. And this participant, let me continue to imagine that's Vijay, right? Vijay
yes,
asked me, "What is your life purpose?" Now, you don't go around asking those kinds of questions to faculty members, right? The faculty member is to teach you, not to do it by himself or herself. But that question, I told Vijay, thanks for asking that. I don't have one formally with me. I'll come back to you. Now that set off my thought on what is my life all about. And that has been a persistent question in my life throughout. And every time that question becomes critical for me to answer. It takes me to a next level, right? So that is the impact which you made me. You asking that question, what is your life purpose? You are telling us all this. Do you have a life purpose? I mean, it was actually a challenge which you threw. That altered my life.
Thank you, Professor. It's really touching, really touching.
Really.
For us, it was Professor, for me, the first day we walked in and we had Professor Arul asking us that question. You know, we had to write, who am I? I had that little note for 30 years in my life, and I go back and check. Probably that was kind of leading on to the next question I had. You had offered offered, I won't say offered, you co-taught a course in my batch called Human Resource Development, along with Professor Pratap Reddy.
Correct.
And we used to look at you, both of you arguing endlessly on what HRD was, right? I remember Octopace because I continued learning. It used to be non-stop conversation about what is this whole thing about. Do you recall that course? And you gave us an assignment. And I remember my assignment, it was to evaluate induction. And that is where this evaluating the induction program at IFM, I'm sorry, IRMA.
IRMA, okay.
Right, because I think induction was just started 1 or 2 batches when I joined. I was in 12th batch, the 10-day induction.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you had said as part of this, you guys need to do a evaluation of T&D. You were teaching us all that. So 2 questions to you. I think it was in that context we spoke, because you had a lot of questions about, how do we?
Yeah.
I distinctly remember that you wanted as participants for us to evaluate our own program. And induction was one assignment you had set us, and it was in that discussion we had this. Now, co-teaching your course, do you recall your experience? And we were flabbergasted. Most of us were sitting and wondering, what are these 2 people teaching? And both of you had extremely different views on what HRD was all about.
Yeah. So that was an elective course.
Yeah.
And I think, yeah. So that was an elective course, and Pratap and I co-taught that course.
Yes.
And human resource development as a field was still very raw, in nascent stage in the country itself.
Yes.
The National HRD Network came about around that time, and so on and so forth. So there was a lot of confusion about what is human resource development itself. So, but whatever was there, I said we must take it to our participants as an elective. So that is what I take. And I don't remember the exact the discussions which Pratap and I had in the class. I don't remember very, very deeply. But definitely, and that to me, faculty members, we were not shy of airing our differences in front of participants. That's fine. That was a culture there. And it's perfectly, we are not quarreling, we are not hitting each other, we are not pulling each other's hairs. We were debating, we were exchanging our views in the front of participants so that the participants also can learn, right?
Yeah, I mean, it was so interesting, right? You have 2 faculty members having huge arguments on what HRD was, and they said HRD is new, and wow, what a class. Yeah, go ahead. So tell us about that.
So, and see the assignments which we gave in that course, I think we had decided that by and large it must be close to real life.
Yes.
There's no point in giving one more case and asking you to analyze and giving you an exam and analyze and doing the answers, etc., etc. Right? Because HRD is such a practical field, right?
Yes.
You need to understand that from the practice, and therefore we chose to give assignments which are really practical. You can, for example, induction was new in IRMA at that time, the 10-day induction, and when you guys do the assessment of that, do a project or assignment on the induction, it also tells the institute what can be better than that. It's a feedback, right, in a way. It's one thing for the people who go through that induction to give feedback. Immediately after they come back from a field work or anything, there is an immediacy effect, right?
Yes.
Either way, good, bad, ugly, whatever it is. So that those kinds of that kind of comments and those kinds of feedbacks are very heavily biased. But when somebody else goes through that, that will help the institute a lot. It's a win-win for everybody, right? That was a thought behind that.
But it was an interesting, I mean, more than interesting, very awesome feeling, because you are actually participating in the institution's growth.
Correct.
You are just not a participant, you are actually telling, and as part of it we had to interview faculty, students, everyone, and you really gave that opportunity. So where do you think your role as an institution builder rested in that? Because that was wonderful experience for us.
I don't think we are also looking at it from an institution building point of view.
Okay,
Definitely.
institutional role
Yeah.
probably.
So there is as a faculty member, I had a role. I don't think I was I was not a, no, I had finished my fieldwork coordinator also at that time. And I was actually in that period of time, maybe I was handling the 1 year program. I had not become. Anyway, so to me as a faculty member, if there is some opportunity which I can create to contribute to the institute's betterment, that was it. Now, I had played a variety of roles in the institute as an academic administrator. And in those roles, there is definitely a conscious institution building part. But as a faculty member, and I'm teaching a course, I have that obligation, if you wish, or more than obligation. It is my interest to serve.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic. Thank you so much.
So, Professor Balaji, can you please speak about the mission that you accomplished to what you do right now, CIP, and talk about if and how your experience as at IRMA may have helped you to conceptualize CIP.
When I came up with CIP, it is causing incredible performance. And as I in the earlier question, know about excellence, etc. I said through my training and coaching, people in a company had produced unbelievably high levels of results, concrete, measurable results. I said, what is my life about after I decided to be on my own? And then I want my life to be about enabling people to cause incredible performance. And I came up with this framework. And there were quite a few uh, experiences of mine which I had to which I reflected on to fill this framework. Apart from many things which my students had done, my participants had done, right, in the training programs, not in IRMA, otherwise. So some of those, you may call them projects which I handled. I they gave a they gave certain amount of input to CIP on reflection. At the time, I was not bothered about the incredible pi. I didn't even have these terms called incredible performance, causing, and all that. But I went and did what I thought was necessary to be done. But those were reflected later on, right? Uh, One of them, hey, Raja and others, we did this rural opinion survey. Do you remember? I forget the year. Must be 88.
87,
88.
88 when Rajiv
Right.
Gandhi was
Seven, we did the work.
88, Balaji, our
Yeah.
We
batch.
did the work. We did the
Correct.
work.
yeah,
Correct.
yeah.
Now,
Somnath Sen and all that I remember. Roamed around all over the country and
I
all kinds of things.
remember
Raja,
Dr. Priyan,
Raja, there are people on the call who roamed around.
Yeah.
I think, if I remember correct, Dr. Purian gave us exactly a week time to get that 50 copies of the survey results out. He called us on a Saturday morning around 11 o'clock, and he said he is going to meet the cabinet secretary in Delhi the next Friday, and he wanted 50 copies of the report. And what is the year we are talking? We talk about 87, 88, when there was nothing called internet. There was not even STD facility. And there was only one airliner. I don't think there were even photocopying machines, right? And we had to conduct a survey. Ultimately, we ended up doing a survey of 627 villages, 10 interviews, 10 households interviewed at least in each village, and all that. Now, and being the fieldwork coordinator, I became de facto project manager for that. And I think we submitted the report in about 10 days time instead of 1 week. Am I correct, Raja?
Yeah, something.
Like that. I mean, 10 days. Imagine 627 villages all over the country. I remember two people were in Sikkim, right, Bala,
Yeah.
in the batch. Two
Yes,
people were,
yes.
and the participants had gone off home for a 2-day vacation. Monday they had to report, and there were two of them who had to report at the NDDB office in Kolkata, and they
Correct.
had gone to Sikkim, and
Correct.
that was the height of insurgency period at that time. And they told me that the army airlifted them in helicopter from wherever they were to somewhere close to Kolkata, so
Yeah,
that they can be in the NDDB office on a Monday or a Tuesday morning at 10 o'clock.
I think Chow and someone else.
I
Chow,
don't
I think one of them was Chow. I don't know.
Now, what kind of performance is that? And how did many of us, we didn't even have a laptop. There's definitely no laptop. And we are not even familiar so much with the computers, desktop. And that is Pradeep Modi and VP Gulati who knew about how to do data analysis of the mainframe. And here is Mr. Madhav Rao, Professor Madhav Rao, who's supposed to write the report. He said, don't bother about that analysis, tables, and pie charts. I will write the report. Now, how do I manage him? Right? So it was a fantastic experience that also informed me in my own way. I made up my mind. The toughest group of people to manage on the planet Earth are the faculty members of a management school.
So
Yes.
Salila Patkar. Salila is from PRM 16. She worked in Myrada and also as a consultant in training, project design and review. She's currently in Madikeri Coorg as a part-time farmer and local volunteer with post-landslide disaster land restoration. So she is the rock star of PRM 16. So over to the rock star Kisan. Salila, over to you.
Dance,
Yeah.
lady, dance.
My goodness.
Now, rockstar.
So, Namaste, Professor Balaji.
Very,
It's
very
really
much.
lovely to see you.
Yeah, ma'am.
And let me just start off by saying I was a naive idiot. And you took my interview for Irma, and I had the gall to ask you if I am in or not, because I hadn't applied anywhere else. And you were kind enough to say that's not something you could reveal. But anyway, I ended up there, and that was really very important for me.
Yeah, one makes mistakes.
And so I have strict orders from. Am I audible?
You are. To me, at least.
Audible, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So another thing, we wrote imposition. If people from my batch remember, 25 times minimum and then multiples of 5 in PM. What is the objective of personnel management? We really goofed up on that one.
Objective of what?
Objective of personnel management.
Oh,
We
okay.
wrote long essays. They were a 2-line answer, and since we didn't get it, we all had to write imposition, and I think some of us felt very, very foolish about it. Anyways, this is about the Thursday afternoon seminar series.
Oh my God.
And some of us, I think, were regular participants mainly because we wanted non-onion flavored coffee delivered to us at the ETTC. The only time in the week for a couple of hours where we were halal in that campus at ETTC. And my favorite thing was to have coffee without sugar and then eat the sugar cubes following that.
Okay.
TAS, I think that is how we would call it,
Correct.
was pretty important because I actually have a notebook for it.
Oh.
And I found it in my attic today.
No, open that notebook and show. How do I believe that is that notebook?
It starts disastrously because it was a faculty recruitment seminar, which went very badly. So I'm going to hide the name of the person who was involved, but it says, so what?
Okay, got that. I completely trust you.
So anyway, it's an interesting book because there's a lot of conversations, a lot of observation of participants. Now, I got to know from Priya and Lisa that you were responsible for TAS in some ways. Could you tell us something about it? Because it seems to be an important thing, at least in my life. I remember more events from this than actually 2 years of classrooms. So that's yours now.
So for all of you, before I go to answer her,
Yeah.
this, what she did just now, is the one which is so fulfilling. Somebody after several years still preserving that and talking about that notebook. That makes a big difference to faculty members of an institution. Going back to TAS, Thursday afternoon seminar series was an initiative of ERMA to to build up the academic atmosphere, environment, to raise the culture in the institute. And one day, Tushar, who was the director at that time, he called me and said, Balaji, I want you to take over as the task force. I said, fine, give me a one-line mandate. I almost asked him what is task. Just to give you a flavor of what task was at the time, I almost asked him what was task. I didn't. He said, the one-line mandate was, I don't want any Thursday going without a seminar being held unless it was an institute holiday. I remember I coordinated the task for maybe 30, 40 weeks, 40 odd weeks, and except one Thursday where it was a holiday for the institute, every other Thursday we had a seminar. Only thing I told them, I said, I will take over as the task coordinator formally after a month. Give me a month's time. Because in that month, during that month, I had to line up seminars. To cut along, if somebody wants to know more about it, I can say, when I took over, the fate of task was most Thursdays they will not happen. If at all those trace Thursdays when it happens, the faculty member will be there who was to give a seminar, and maybe one or two more people along with the task coordinator. And sometimes I remember me being pulled from the corridor or the tea room, the cafeteria where we have tea, the task coordinator will come and say, hey, listen, Balaji, come here, there's a task seminar. So I'll be there, and that was the situation. And from then, when I stopped being a task coordinator, every Thursday we had a task seminar, number one. The number of participants on average had gone up to more than 50. Not only faculty members were presenting task seminars, there were also PRM participants who were presenting task seminars. Participants for the seminars came from not only IRMA, but from Gujarat Agricultural University, NDTB and its sister institutions, Sardar Patel University Agricultural Department, and so on and so forth. And every Monday, if people in these institutions did not get a poster announcing that Thursday's task, Tuesday I'll get a call. Is the Thursday afternoon seminar not happening this week? So bottom line of all these things is again focus on quality, right? So the quality of the seminars went up because I used to sit with faculty members and say, okay, come and tell me what kind of research are you doing right now? Or if I knew the kind of research, I'll ask them to explain it to me. I said, can you present this part of it for seminar? So I used to work with them. I used to get them to give me summaries, the abstracts of it. And on any day, on my table at the office, there are at least 6 seminars scheduled. So no wonder a person like Salila is remembering it so fondly. Thanks a lot. Because of those things, quality going up, and there's no, if something had to be done, it had to be done. Yeah, there's no point in. I never bothered about so much of work and all that. I didn't even have that language for so much of work. If something had to be done, it had to be done. Period. If the rural opinion survey had to be done in 10 days' time, it had to be done. And if I remember those 10 days. On an average per day, I must have slept for an hour and a half or 2. And the remaining 20 odd hours apart from those short periods of time where I had to come and grab something to eat and have something by name called bath. Apart from that, it had to be done. If you had to be there at work for 20 hours per day, it had to be done. That's it. If there is a schedule, and that's again the whole thing about discipline, right? When you say discipline, it is not like regimentation. So we come up with a timetable for the whole term. I remember when I was there, no faculty member was allowed to change her or his class. It was unheard of, unless there was something extraordinarily critical. Faculty members would not even ask for a change in the class for their class schedule. Now, if we are not following those kinds of, let's call this discipline, but now I have some other word for it. Now, if faculty members did not show that kind of a discipline, and we showed it, it's not like we wanted to show off, right? It was just as a part of the culture, and that has to rub off on the participants. No way, not rub off. So Thursday afternoon seminars, that was what it is. And I had to think of multiple ways of making it happen, right? Bringing up the quality, ensuring that the seminars happen. We had discussions. I remember when Shashwat was presenting, I told the others. I mean, I asked him, "Do you want a discussion for your paper?" And he was very highly academically oriented, so he knew what was a discussion. He said, "Yes, I would like a discussion." I said, "Who would you want to be a discussion?" And ultimately, we got I think ADG of police from Ahmedabad, because his seminar was on the police force in UP. The guy who was looking after the police officer who was looking after jails in Ahmedabad. We brought him to IRMA to be a discussion. He was sent that paper at least a month in advance. That's the kind of effort we had to put in. And we did it just naturally.
Thank you so much, Professor
Okay.
Balaji. And
Wonderful
when
thing,
you
yeah.
said things had to move on irrespective of anything, I just remembered one instance where the whole campus got flooded, and all of us called up Professor Raja from the mess and said, "We don't want to come to class." He said, "Get back here, get to class." And then we had to wade through water to get to class. and I think that is why we have such strong memories of the place and of all of you. Thank you very much.
And the first session in the whole program was mine. New program, first session mine. I think it was a max for them also. And the class has to start at 9 o'clock. And I had gone to the vegetable market for buying some vegetables. On my way back in my two-wheeler, to cut a long story short, I fell down. And both my arms, exactly identically, were very heavily bruised. I quickly came home. I didn't even notice that. I quickly came home, quickly had a wash. I went and Girja asked me, "What is this in your hand?" I said, "I don't know. We'll see that later because I have a class to go now." I quickly called the nurse in the medical center. She put some bandage in my hand, and I didn't want the bandage to show. So I pulled a white color sari kurta so that it doesn't show. I handled the class at 9 o'clock. And after 70 minutes, when the class got ended, participants were asking, "What happened?" I said, "What? Why is your face going all over the place? You seem to be in some tremendous pain." I said, "Yeah, correct. Now I remember my pain." So what has meeting with an accident to do with handling a class? Nothing. Why not? Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Professor Balaji. Thank you, Salila. So with this, we have come to the end of the panel. So we will open the floor for discussion. So we now open the floor for discussion. We have, the first question is from Sanjay Patro. So we request Sanjay to go ahead and ask his question.
The course management of human resources, where you are given a bouquet of evaluation items. One can take quiz, midterm, a book review, assignment. And I think in the entire 2 years of ours, you had given that option to choose. I think that at a weightage of about 10%. that I vividly remember because I reviewed a book and that's remained as an imprint in my mind.
Was it only for 10% of the whole course?
10% of the whole course.
Not for the whole course.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, did you continue that practice or you experiment or batch?
I experiment every time.
Okay. Mm, I am from the sixth batch, and other question that I have is, you mentioned about being running to the class with bruised arms. Uh, Irma, we have never seen a prof walking into the class. Everybody would rush to the class by before a couple of minutes, and we would see the prof being there in the center. Yeah. Was there a agreement amongst all, or was there a directive from the PRM coordinator? Or that's an amazing thing. I've seen several other institutions after that, but rarely I see that kind of a uniform practice.
Okay, do you think if the director gave that direction, that
Or
instruction,
the
that
PRM
order,
coordinator, yeah, yeah. Everybody, it is, rarely we see a prof walking into the class after 9 or, or just before a minute. Before 5 minutes, they would be there. Before 5 or 10 minutes.
I got that. So do you think that we as faculty members, if we were given that kind of an order by the director, we would take it and follow it? No way.
No way, no way. No, it was a pure
The
agreement.
director had no right to order us.
Yeah,
We were all peers.
correct.
I mean, he had to have a separate room and sign some checks because everybody can't sign on one check. That's all. So no, I mean, that was a, it was built into us, program.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember, Raja can correct me, and others can correct me. When I joined in 1984, except 2 or 3 faculty members, others are all of us were from IMA,
Yeah, yeah, right.
and almost all of us who are from IMA were from the fellow program. So we brought that culture here. Nobody needed to tell us.
No,
It was an insult. We considered as an insult to the person who was giving us the directions if he told us to do something.
see, in every institute, there are norms to evaluate the tests and give the grades and the marks. But in IRMA, after every exam, even for the end term, within a week, the grades should be released. But that's not the case in any of the top institutes today. Yeah.
Mm.
That's a, so in terms of everybody sticking to self-imposed norms is a great thing. That's what.
Yeah. So it was there, and I mean, well, the example which you gave that I gave you guys a bouquet of evaluation patterns to choose from. One of those, I wouldn't call it experiment. It was just one of those whimsical things we did. I did. There are times when I given a quiz. Let's say these are all from the lighter side, right? So I give a quiz of 20 statements or 10 statements and ask people to say whether it is true or false, right? And for me, evaluating that quiz becomes so simple because all that I have to do is count the number of false and subtract that from 10 because all the statements were true or all the statements are false or the top 5 are true and bottom 5 are false. Some such thing. It becomes terribly simple for me to evaluate. That is not the reason. But then participants have to think, right? And I used to give part A and part B in the end term examination. Part A is all objective type, half an hour, and then part B is a case analysis. I said, okay, now you have 3 more hours. You can go wherever you want to go. If you want to discuss, you can go and discuss and submit the part B paper before the end of 3 hours. And by the time they came back to submit the part B papers, I gave them the part A answer sheet. I said, why the hell do we have to spoil our vacation? I remember giving one quiz, I don't know to which batch, one quiz. I said, here are the answers. Write the correct question for that. Fine. Who says that examination should be of only one type? I can assess how much participants learned in 100 ways.
Another thing I wanted to just remind how you cared for all of us when Manohar's accident took place, and
Oh yeah.
lot of time. I think a couple of months we were cared for by
Talk about
people
Manohar.
around. Yeah, most of us. Yeah, that was really made it a Gurukulam. I just when I remember a Gurukulam, that's the way we look at Gurukulam. Yeah. Any comments?
So then we go to Sri Raman.
Hey Sri Rama. Okay, ma.
Good evening, sir.
Very good evening.
Sir, I just wanted to, I don't have a question, just want to say about the human side of you. That's when, when we had an unfortunate incident of one of the PRM8 participants. Both of them met with an accident and one of them passed away. And the other one was recouping in recovering from his injury, and more than the physical injury, the mental agony he had. That is Manoharan. Unfortunately, he is also no more now. So I remember you had given him place to stay in his home, in your home.
Yeah.
He stayed at least for a couple of days until his family joined. And you took care of, your family took care of him so well. And incidentally, I also spent time with him to give him company, because the rest of his classmates were in Ahmedabad with Rajan that point in time. So I remember spending time with him in your home in Irma, and your wife took care of him so well. Just wanted to mention this here.
Yes. Yes. We went to, my wife and I went to Gudalur to see Manoharan at that, when he was running that school there, just a few months before he passed away.
Friends
Thanks
around
for-
here anyway. We will not talk more. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
so
getting
just wanted to remember it, because that's a human side of Professor Balaji and his family.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. We have Rajendra who wanted to say something.
Hi, Professor Balaji. This is Rajendra Joshi. I don't know if you remember me from PRM9.
Hi.
Yeah. I must say that we used to hate the MANAC exercise.
Mac or Manak? Be clear.
Mac. MANAC
Okay.
was...
Because Manak you should tell when Srini comes on the call.
No. MANAC was taught to us.
Nobody will speak.
Agarwal.
Yeah, okay. Rajesh.
So MAC assignments, we used to hate them. We used to think, oh, what is this professor doing for us? But as I wrote in the chat, we found, at least personally, I found it so useful later in life in management communication. Thank you, Professor. And what I can say is that you are as energetic as you were 30 years back. Good to see you.
Why are you surprised about that?
Why are you surprised? Many people lose their enthu vigor after so many years.
I told you I'm a very weird guy. And thanks for saying this. Hey, Ashutosh, you said that Mac was about preci writing.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Not. Unfortunately, that is how it landed on your head, in your head. It is about sharpening your analytical skills.
So,
And
I mean,
if your analytical skills got sharpened, it will be precise. To that extent, it is preci writing.
Exactly. So then, fundamentally, my association with preci writing, which we used to do in class 10, wasn't too wrong with it. Ultimately, that was the ethos of what you wanted to drive into our minds.
But did it help?
Oh yes, it definitely helped. It definitely helped.
Okay.
Especially in the role that I am right now in, it definitely helped.
Okay, good. Thank you. Thanks, Rajesh, for saying that.
Talked about this discipline, and in our batch, I think you were probably 29 or something. We were 23 or something. So we used to think, oh, he's young, that's why he's kind of always aggressive, whatever. But I realized just, few months back or maybe a year back when we did our CIP program with you for the company, nothing has changed. So, we'll end the evening at about 11 or 11:30 and Balaji would say, look, 5:30, everybody be there. And I think there's nobody who would miss. That's really great,
It's a
actually.
4-day program, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, 4 days.
4 days.
And we used to start having coffee at 6:15 in the morning. 6:30 the program begins.
Yep.
And ends around 10:30, 11, whenever it ends in the night.
Yep.
Very good.
Even the
And
managing
it's all
director,
physical activities-based learning.
even the managing director or CEO or whatever will be pulled up if they're late.
There you are a participant.
Yeah.
I mean, you may be a managing director in the company, so what? In this place, you are a participant.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean that you are low. In this case, in this place, you are a participant as much as a participant as everybody else.
Yeah.
And talking participant, I want to share this with all of you. I don't know where and when two interesting and a very powerful, very lovely cultural elements got altered in Nirma. One is the PRM participants used to be known as, addressed as, talked about as participants, not students. I don't remember saying Bala is a PRM student. No. Or Priya is a PRM student. No. Priya is a PRM participant. Jaya is a PRM participant. Right? That has suddenly shifted to being a student. And the second thing is addressing faculty members by name. I mean, there were very senior faculty members like Shekhar or Dr. Qatar Singh. Even we wouldn't call them Qatar and Shekhar. Shekhar, I think, yeah, we used to call him Shekhar only. But almost all of us, we used to be called by name.
By the first name, yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
first name.
Yes.
And a guy like in the last call when Sanjeev was there, people were addressing him as Pansi, not even his first name. Shortened second name. And Raja was not Rajagopalan, he was Raja. Gulati was Gulati, whatever. Right? I don't know why suddenly it changed to Sir, Murali Sir also.
Thank you so much. Any more thoughts you want to share? Anything you want to say to all of us?
Thank you so much. It was
Thank
nice
you.
seeing a lot.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
So, Professor Balaji, any closing thoughts before I say my thank you?
First of all, thanks a lot for this amazing opportunity to get back to those nostalgic memories of our IGMA days. And if I'm sure there are participating people in this meeting who escaped my teaching, but they want to know how it was those days. Thanks a lot for that, and I really appreciate this initiative. And suddenly this afternoon, as I was thinking and preparing my memories for this meeting, it suddenly struck me. I want to consider a faculty member handling a case in one of these sessions. Yeah?
Yeah, okay. Maybe the HTH talks as a case.
So somebody can actually run a class, case-based discussion. Because that was the way of learning those days.
Yes, yes.
I don't know what it is now.
Yeah.
But at least some little noise which I hear is that case-based learning, case method of learning is on the wane. So if somebody wants to know what the hell it is, maybe we can actually, some faculty members can run that case discussion, and it could be a 70-minute class. They can experience what it means to be in a case discussion. Thanks a lot, guys. I really appreciate this.
Yeah, thank you very much, sir. No, I think it's a lot of ideas that come to us. The core team consists of 6 of us. So we keep on calling this season 1. We don't know if there is going to be a season 2, but we really hope there is a season 2, because this is the beginning of a series of conversations, and the first set of conversations are about nostalgia. The season 2 could be anything.
task.
And that, yeah, it could be anything, because it is a wealth of information and knowledge and wisdom that we have even within the participants. Even our participants now, this is the 40th year of the PRM program. So yes, so you have a very important point there, and I hope that we will be able to go into season 2 with a different core team and more interesting ideas. But thank you very much, Professor Balaji. As always, it's a pleasure and a privilege to be talking to you. And ma'am.